Well, hi guys, this is Chris at MyFactory62, and this is the latest update on the Revell B1 Victor conversion. And as you can probably see, she's looking a real mess at the moment, or a lovely mess, whichever way you see it. Anybody who saw the last video probably saw it at just the painting stage, where I think post the last video, basically painted the whole aircraft in a black primer. Then when that was dried, put the main assemblies into place. They're all glued in now, wing sections, the tail sections and fuselage, etc. The only problem with that was that revealed lots of nasties. So the black paint, the black primer, just basically revealed loads of slips from the re-scribing gouges, panel lines that were way too thick. So, amongst other real bodges, so I probably overdid it. But since this is my first attempt, I think, well, that's why I overdid it. I just, went in too heavy-handed at times. But I've since made up for it, because I've basically refilled this, and it's been re-scribed about another 2 times since that. So basically about on our 3rd re-scribe now, including filling and everything. But battered in all her glory, all this bad boy's glory, whatever you want to call it. At least it's now taking the shape and starting to look like a Victor. But I've done a heck of a lot of work on this. I mean, Lord knows it's a real, it is a real filler queen, no question. I mean, as I've mentioned before, it's a reboxing of an old early 1980s Matchbox kit. And although the kit itself is actually very simple to build, because there are so few parts to it, which is all very well when the parts fit, but absolutely none of these parts fitted. I've had to fill all along the wing roots on both sides and underneath as well. I've got the same here. I mean, there's a lot of tidying up to do. There's still a lot of work to do here, but I'm enjoying it in a kind of perverse way. It's going somewhere. The main thing is she's pretty solid. It is a pretty solid construction. That's the main thing. But yeah, way too much filling. But it's done the job. It is all very firm. And once it's smoothed down a bit more, I'll barely see it. I mean, but like I say, the wings did not fit at all. The tailpiece barely fitted on at all. Fuselage sections didn't really glue together in a uniform way at all. So that had to be. There's loads of sanding for that. I've got seam lines all over the seam lines all the way down here. Major seam lines, which took a lot of work. There's still slight evidence of it, but it's nowhere near as bad as what it was. But it's coming along. But I think it's time to put this one aside for a short while and get on to the 172nd, the 1974 Spitfire Mark V that I've started as well. So I want to get that going. That shouldn't take too long. I mean, it's a small kit, but this has taken up a lot more time than I envisaged with all this re-scribing. But it just had to be done, because the original priming, I primed it with the black, as some viewers know. Then that was clear coated, but although I used thin amounts of clear coat, it really did fill in the panel lines. So I've had to re-scribe it all out again, and then refill it in places where there's damage. and then I'll obviously have to, in some areas, I'll have to very finely re-scribe again. But you know, I'm not after a perfect model. I just want a decent, you know, something that kind of resembles a B1. The other problem I came across was the milliput filling. Although I've not used, I didn't use, you know, really thick amounts. A lot of it was sculpted with water as well to keep it thin and do its job, but it seems to have taken so long to dry. I mean, there's a lot of work needs doing on the air intakes here, and none of that is dry yet. It's still pretty wet, and that needs a lot more shaping around there. But the trouble is, if you start to try and sand it now, it just pulls off loads of little lumps. It's not a smooth sanding, even though it's quite damp. So you've really got to let this stuff dry, but it's taking too long. It's like it's over 2 weeks now. So either I'm at fault there, I'm not sure. Possibly I could have put too much on, but I don't think I did. Anyway, same thing we had at the root of the tailpiece there as well. That needed lots of filler there. There was a big gap, you know. So it is an old kit now. I mean, some people have built the tanker version straight out of the box, you know, the Revell tanker version, and got some really nice results. And maybe they didn't. Maybe they were lucky and had, you know, they didn't get a lemon. They got some kits that just fitted together pretty well. But I know there's been quite a few of these built, but that's not the experience I've had with the fitting issues with this, because they're pretty terrible. So like I say, it's been a lot of work, and it still will be a lot of work. There's still a lot to do on it. But to get this up to scratch, to get this up to being a half decent model, you know, and it's now going to be down to finishing off, sanding it properly, getting rid of the flaws, and then doing a nice paint job on it. You know, we can tone in the panel lines. So once these panel lines are sorted out now, I'm going to actually do a lighter grey over that, then do some pre-shading, dark pre-shading all over the panel lines. And then on with some whites. Get her polished up then. I also fitted up this, well, it's kind of very basic jig out of this polystyrene. It's solid polystyrene. It's not the soft stuff, because that just breaks. But if you get a nice solid piece, this is, you know, some packaging of something or another, and then you cut out two little scoops there, not too wide, because you want your aircraft or whatever model, your car, your ship or whatever, to almost just squeeze in there a little, and that really does holds this in beautifully. And it's a great jig for, you know, support for painting. It's better than having it in a vise for me. It's a lot more manoeuvrable, and then you can flip it over and do the same on the other side. Incidentally, the underneath that also needs a hell of a lot of work on it. But the odd hour a night or whatever I can put into it at the moment. Soon have it transformed. I think the secret with all these things is not to get too bogged down with it. If you do get bogged down, just put it aside and do something else entirely. Or start, maybe not start another model. Maybe that's probably the worst thing you could do in some cases. But yeah, start another model, or go and buy your wife a present, I don't know. So yeah, so I'm going to leave the video here. Like I say, hopefully I want to crack on with the Spitfire, the little 172, the vintage Spitfire. I want to get that going. although I have started that, but that shouldn't take too long. But I do want to do some nice painting on that as well. So that's it, guys. That's the lot for today, and hopefully see you on the next video. But that's the Victor update, and you know, we are getting there, slow but steady, but we're getting there. So you know, take care out there, everyone, and bye for now.